There was a little overnight drama in Silicon Valley after Thinking Machines Lab CEO Mira Murati said the company had parted ways with co founder and CTO Barret Zoph. Not long after, OpenAI's Fiji Simo announced that Zoph, along with fellow Thinking Machines co founder Luke Metz, would be returning to OpenAI. Zoph and Metz both left OpenAI in late 2024 to help set up Thinking Machines Labs. Here to break down what happened and what it signals about the AI talent wars is our AI reporter, Stephanie Palazzolo. Stephanie, welcome back to the show.
Hey, great to be here.
So, what do we know? This is juicy.
I know. We're kicking off the year in the right way. Just a lot of AI drama. No, but I mean, essentially, what we know for sure is pretty much what you just said. Again, last night, Mira Murati, former OpenAI chief technology officer, now CEO of Thinking Machines, she posted on X that they had parted ways with Barrett. An hour later, Fiji Simo, who's the CEO of applications at OpenAI, said that OpenAI had hired uh, Barrett, along with two other Thinking Machines researchers, including another co-founder of the company. And Fiji basically said, these talks have been going on for weeks, which implies that this is something that had been in the works, and maybe Barrett and these other folks were thinking about joining OpenAI at least for a while.
So, Barrett and Luke, what were their roles at OpenAI when they were around there the first time?
Yeah, so both of them were very senior researchers at OpenAI. So Barrett specifically was the lead for a team called post training, which is basically the final step of the training process where you get the AI models ready to be released and to be put into products. And then Luke was another senior researcher at OpenAI that was had been there for quite a while. He's actually part of the kind of original team that built what ended up becoming ChatGPT.
Okay. And remind me, I mean, these are two very important functions. Post training, that is that key battleground area that has become very competitive, right? For the models between Gemini and ChatGPT. I mean, this is a pretty important role.
Totally. I mean, post-training has been a very important part of the training process, as you mentioned, and has especially become important in, the last year or two. So it was a very big deal whenever Barrett left OpenAI in the first place to go to Mira's startup. And, it's now a pretty big deal that he's coming back.
And just to confirm, we don't know anything about the reasons here just yet, right? This is where there's got to be some more reporting. We got to find out what's been
That
happening.
that is the big question. I think right now there are two kind of conflicting narratives coming out. So, on one hand, we have reporting that Mira had told staff at Thinking Machines that Barrett had basically been fired for quote unquote unethical uh, conduct, which doesn't sound great. And then on the flip side, we see from OpenAI that it sounds like from their perspective, they had been in discussions with these researchers for weeks to potentially come to OpenAI, and there's even some stories last night that said that Fiji uh, told OpenAI staffers that basically Barrett had told Mira earlier this week that he was talking with OpenAI, and then he was pretty quickly fired just a day or two later. So there's kind of a lot of questions around what exactly happened. Was this just a researcher that wanted to make a move to a different company and then got fired for it, or did he actually do something wrong and that was kind of the true reason behind him leaving Thinking Machines?
Okay. So where does all this leave Thinking Machines Lab now?
Yeah, I mean, I think this does depend on how important some of these researchers actually were. Like, yes, I mean, these are very high profile, very experienced researchers, but we don't know the kind of exact details around what exactly were their contributions at Thinking Machines, how kind of like critical and vital were they to like the success of the startup. So that is kind of an open question, but we do have to say though, like it doesn't look great, like this is a startup that is extremely highly it's very expensive valuation. I mean, its last price was 10 billion, but then in the last couple months they've been in talks to raise at a crazy $50 billion price, which is pretty wild considering that the company has only really released one product, and that has it's I think those are questions about how that product has kind of uh, gone so far. So it doesn't really look great to have such a young startup losing pretty important researchers and a number of co-founders in just its like first year of existing. And even investors I spoke to last night were like completely shocked, very caught off guard. They did not see this coming.
Does this say anything to you about the AI talent wars, or does this really feel like an inside baseball story of 20 people that are really just playing musical chairs around these 3 or 4 different companies? You could call it the original OpenAI group that has sort of spread their wings. Now they're coming back. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's poaching, although maybe it is. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I mean, this definitely ties into the broader theme of this crazy talent war that's going on. That's going on. But I think this case does seem pretty specific to thinking machines and OpenAI. It does seem like there's more to the story here, and perhaps specific reasons behind these people leaving that have to do, with thinking machines or what it was like to kind of work there. So yes, I'm sure that they got paid pretty handsomely to go back to OpenAI, but it does feel like there's more to the story that's pretty specific to this one case.
Great. Well, Steph, I want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. That is Stephanie Palazzolo, our AI reporter here at The Information.